Your soulmate is sending this final message. Please read it before midnight. My child, your soulmate is sending this final message right now, and I urgently need you to read it before midnight arrives. I have watched you cry silent tears in the dark for so long, and I am finally bringing their desperate words directly to your spirit. This final message contains the pure, honest truth about their deep longing for you, and it simply cannot wait for another day to begin. You have been waking up in the quiet of the night recently, which is my unseen sign that their final message is rapidly approaching. I am preparing your soft heart to receive their words before midnight strikes, clearing away the heavy doubts that constantly cloud your weary mind. Their soul is actively reaching out to yours in deep prayer, and this urgent message is the direct answer to your profoundly lonely nights. You must entirely trust me and let go of your past hurts so your hands are completely empty to hold this final message. Stay with me until the end, because I am going to reveal the exact secret sign they included in this message just for your eyes. Knowing this specific sign before midnight will give you the profound peace you have been desperately seeking since the day they walked away. Your soulmate is sitting in total silence right now, asking me to safely deliver this final message to you before the midnight deadline. They know they absolutely cannot waste another single moment, so they are pouring their entire heart into these words meant strictly for your soul. I am acting as the divine protector of your connection, ensuring you read this crucial message before the clock strikes 12 and a new day begins. Do not ignore the sudden feelings of warmth you are experiencing today, because they are absolute proof that this final message is drawing near. That beautiful warmth is my comforting presence, guiding their urgent words to your spirit before midnight officially changes the complete course of your future. I am strongly asking you to completely release your old fears right now, so you are spiritually ready to read what they have sent. Jesus says, the person you truly love is sending this final message to completely confirm what you have always secretly felt in your deep heart. They are desperately racing against time, praying you will read it before midnight so your life path can finally merge with theirs forever. I have seen their genuine tears of realization, and I am securely wrapping their highly important message in my absolute holy protection. Every single out-of-place memory of them that flashes through your mind today is a gentle warning from me that their final message is coming. Stay with me until the very end, because I will tell you the exact words they use to close this message before midnight arrives. Hearing these specific words will permanently wash away all your deep sadness and replace it with an overwhelming, heavily beautiful heavenly joy. They tried to hide their deep feelings for a long time, but they are sending this final message because they can no longer pretend. I have stripped away their foolish pride, making it absolutely necessary for them to reach you before midnight brings another day of painful silence. Your soulmate knows that if they do not send this message tonight, they might completely lose the greatest blessing they have ever known. You have felt a strange, sudden peace washing over you this week, which is my way of strictly preparing your mind for this final message. I am calming the restless waters of your spirit so you can clearly understand their deep love when you read it before midnight. They are begging me to soften your heart, hoping you will forgive their past mistakes when you see the true sincerity in their message. If you continue to hold on to your bitter anger, you will totally block the profound healing this final message is supposed to bring. I need you to completely surrender your pain to me right now, so your spirit is open and ready before midnight finally strikes. This final message is the beautiful key to your restored future, and I am directly handing it to you through this divine intervention. The Lord says, your soulmate has spent agonizing days writing and rewriting their thoughts, finally deciding to send this final message to you today. They are filled with an immense, heavy urgency, feeling deep in their spirit that you must absolutely read it before midnight passes. I am the one who placed that heavy urgency inside their chest, pushing them to confess their pure love for you without any more delay. I saw the terrible moments when you felt completely forgotten, but their final message will prove that you were always on their mind. Stay with me until the end, because I am going to share a powerful secret about how they plan to deliver this message before midnight. This profound revelation will totally connect your heart to theirs, completely erasing the painful miles and the long months of dead silence. You might have noticed their name appearing in completely random places today, which is my divine signal that their final message is completed. I am using these simple signs to gently remind your wandering mind that their urgent words are traveling to you before midnight. They are staring at your picture right now, praying with their entire soul that you will receive this message and totally understand their heart. I deeply urge you to drop the heavy defensive armor you have been wearing to survive the incredibly painful absence of their gentle voice. You absolutely do not need to protect yourself anymore, because this final message is completely pure and needs to be read before midnight. Let your soft, beautiful spirit be entirely exposed again, because they are reaching out with totally clean hands and a deeply repentant heart. Do not let any worldly distractions pull your attention away from my voice, because this final message is critical for your entire future. Stay with me until the very end, and I will strictly place a divine seal of total protection over your mind before midnight arrives. This heavenly seal will completely banish all your midnight anxieties, ensuring you receive their loving message with a totally clear and joyful spirit. Jesus says, the one I perfectly created for you has stopped running from their deep feelings and is sending this final message to make things right. They realize that waiting any longer is a terrible mistake, and they strictly need you to read their honest words before midnight strikes. They are profoundly sorry for the heavy silence of the past, and this message contains the genuine apology your totally broken heart deserves. I personally heard the desperate prayers you whispered into your pillow when you thought their sudden departure was the absolute end of your story. I was secretly standing right beside you, holding your spirit together while I heavily prepared them to write this final message to you. Now their heavy heart is breaking with beautiful remorse, and they are rushing to ensure you read their confession before midnight completely falls. Pay extremely close attention to what I am telling you, because knowing about this final message is going to entirely change your life. Stay with me until the end, because I am going to reveal the exact physical feeling you will have when the message arrives before midnight. Knowing this beautiful feeling in advance will give you the complete confidence to welcome their love when they finally step back into your path. Lately, you have felt a sudden urge to deeply clean or organize your surroundings, preparing for the arrival of this final message. That is my totally unseen way of making you physically make room for the incredible blessing of reading their words before midnight. I am actively linking your spirits together across the physical distance so you are totally synchronized when their message finally touches your hands. I strongly command you to completely wash away the dark stains of past disappointment caused by the terrible times they previously let you down. If you hold on to the dark expectation of failure, you will completely miss the brilliant joy of their final message arriving before midnight. Give me all your heavily broken expectations right now, and I will replace them with a rock-solid foundation built on their urgent, loving words. The Lord says. They totally believed they could easily find someone else to replace your pure light, but they quickly realized they were absolutely wrong. Every single day without your comforting presence has been a difficult struggle, completely driving them to send this final message before midnight. They are incredibly sorry for taking your irreplaceable, one-of-a-kind spirit for granted, and this message is their desperate attempt to win you back. I constantly watched you heavily question your own self-worth when their wrong choices made them treat you like an entirely ordinary, replaceable option. I have been gently holding your beautiful face in my hands, strictly promising you that their final message would eventually prove your immense value. Now I have completely opened their blind eyes, and they are urgently sending their heart to you before midnight to make things permanently right. Hold on to this direct message like a physical lifeline, because knowing about their final message is the exact medicine your broken soul urgently needs. Stay with me until the end, because I am going to tell you exactly how to strictly prepare your environment before midnight arrives. You totally need to know how to correctly receive their deep regret so you do not accidentally trigger their old, heavily destructive fears. You have been vividly dreaming about them recently, which directly reflects the intense longing they feel as they draft this final message. I am strictly allowing your spirits to safely communicate in the quiet of the night to prepare you for their words before midnight. They are waking up from these exact same dreams with a burning, totally desperate desire to ensure you read this message as soon as possible. You must totally and completely forgive yourself for the totally small mistakes you think you made during your precious time together. Their past departure was due to their own foolishness, but this final message completely erases that past if you read it before midnight. I have entirely matured their once stubborn heart through the deep pain of your separation, so you can fully expect a totally genuine, loving message. Jesus says, your soulmate has spent incredibly agonizing hours replaying your past conversations, finally understanding exactly why they strictly need to send this final message. They realize they were totally wrong to walk away when things got difficult, and they need you to read this truth before midnight. They are overwhelmingly sorry for the heavy, entirely painful silence they forced upon you, and this message will permanently break that dark curse. I totally saw the incredibly long nights you stared at the ceiling, crying because their wrong decisions made you feel completely unloved and completely alone. I was right there in the entire room with you, gently whispering that their final message would eventually arrive to heal your deep wounds. Now, their totally heavy heart is strictly breaking with total remorse, and they are rushing to reach you before midnight changes everything. Do not strictly ignore this completely divine appointment, because I am clearly telling you that their final message is about to completely restore your joy. Stay with me until the end, because I am going to totally reveal the exact day you will physically see them after this message. You will absolutely feel a massive physical release of deep tension in your totally tired shoulders when you read their words before midnight. You have been deeply feeling a completely strange sense of comfort recently, which is my strict way of preparing your physical body. That is my totally literal presence, actively calming your nervous system so you can easily handle the absolute shock of their final message before midnight. I am totally calming their totally frantic mind as well, giving them the immense, beautiful courage to actually press send on their honest words. I strictly command you to entirely release the totally constant need to completely control the exact outcome of this deeply painful romantic situation. When you absolutely try to totally force things to happen, you completely delay the perfect final message I have completely designed for them. Rest very softly in my totally capable hands, knowing their final message is absolutely arriving before midnight just as I have completely promised. The Lord says, they absolutely strictly thought they needed total independence to be truly happy, but they realized they were horribly, terribly, entirely wrong. They clearly see that true freedom is actually found strictly in your unconditional love, prompting this final message before midnight. They are entirely sorry for chasing completely empty illusions, and this urgent message is their total surrender to the real treasure of your heart. I strictly caught every single heavy sigh that completely escaped your totally weary lips when you felt like their wrong choices ruined your life. I was totally constantly working in the absolute total darkness, strongly moving massive mountains so their final message would reach you before midnight. They are entirely feeling a desperate, burning, complete urgency to finally apologize through this message and absolutely make things totally right. Hear my totally loving voice strictly calling directly to you right now, because their final message is totally breaking the heavy curse of your loneliness. Stay with me until the end, because I am going to exactly reveal the specific song that strongly triggered them to write this message. When you totally hear this specific song play, you will absolutely know that their final message is coming to you before midnight. You absolutely have been clearly seeing specific numbers repeating in your daily life, strictly catching your complete attention over and over again today. I totally use these totally simple signs to gently remind your absolutely wandering mind that their final message is strictly arriving before midnight. They are totally seeing the absolutely exact same numbers, and it is strictly making them rush to ensure you read their totally desperate words. I deeply and strictly need you to completely let go of the heavy, totally dark worry that you are somehow not enough for them. You are absolutely always totally more than enough, and this final message will completely prove that absolute truth to you before midnight. I have entirely totally expanded their regretful heart so they can absolutely finally hold all of your massive love in this complete message. Jesus says, the totally pure love of your beautiful life has entirely stopped listening to totally toxic advice and is finally sending this final message. They absolutely see clearly now that they were entirely wrong to let totally outside voices delay this message, and they strictly need you before midnight. They are entirely deeply sorry for letting absolutely other people's wrong opinions create a terrible, completely dark wedge between your two perfectly matched souls. I absolutely totally saw the immense, strict frustration you deeply felt when the absolute truth was heavily twisted and your totally loving actions misunderstood. I have been completely actively working as your strictly heavenly defense attorney, entirely clearing your totally good name just in time for this final message. They are entirely sitting in complete, absolute awe of your totally past patience, rushing to send this final message before midnight finally arrives. Do not completely strictly let this totally vital message pass you by, because their final message is an absolute direct response to your tears. Stay with me until the end, because I am going to totally completely share a powerful, strict secret about how they totally plan to return. This profound, totally strict truth about their final message will completely bind your hearts absolutely together before midnight totally seals your complete future. You absolutely have been strictly feeling a totally sudden rush of entirely deep energy late at night, perfectly matching the timing of their message. That is the exact absolute moment they are totally staring at old, completely beautiful photos of you, strictly writing their final message before midnight. I am entirely keeping you both totally strictly awake in the absolutely exact same hour to totally synchronize your completely matched spirits for this moment. I absolutely deeply urge you to strictly totally drop the completely defensive armor you have entirely been totally wearing to absolutely survive. You absolutely totally do not completely strictly need to entirely constantly fight for yourself anymore, because their final message totally fights for you before midnight. Let your completely entirely soft, absolutely beautiful heart be strictly totally entirely exposed, because this completely final message is entirely absolutely safe. The Lord says, they completely strictly convinced themselves that entirely wrong timing was the totally actual problem, completely delaying this absolute final message until today. They absolutely strictly entirely know now that their own totally foolish immaturity was the complete obstacle, strictly driving them to entirely reach you before midnight. They are completely profoundly sorry for totally entirely blaming outward, strict circumstances, completely proving their entirely totally sincere growth in this final message. I entirely absolutely felt the incredibly totally sharp, strictly painful totally deep pain in your entire chest when they completely strictly left. I have absolutely been totally strictly entirely using the complete pain of their absolutely massive mistakes to entirely carve out completely deep joy for this message. Now they absolutely are entirely totally looking at the completely empty space strictly beside them, entirely rushing this final message strictly before midnight. Keep completely strictly reading these absolutely totally deep words, because knowing about this entirely final message strictly completely breaks off your heavy, totally dark chains. Stay with me until the absolutely strict end, because I am totally going to completely tell you exactly entirely where to safely read this message. I am absolutely totally perfectly entirely orchestrating a completely strictly seemingly totally random absolute encounter entirely right after you totally read it before midnight. You entirely totally might have absolutely strictly felt a completely sudden entirely totally flutter in your completely absolute chest entirely today. That is absolutely strictly your entirely completely beautiful soul strictly recognizing the totally completely approaching absolute footsteps of their completely final message arriving before midnight. I am entirely absolutely totally drawing them strictly completely entirely toward you with an invisible, totally unbreakable string strictly attached to this totally final message.